Well, we'll start with Kirk Cousins, right? The quarterback musical chairs have been filled to a large extent. Kirk Cousins still not in one. What I've been told on Kirk Cousins is he plans to be patient, wait out the market, see if other situations come up that are more favorable. He does want to play, and I think he believes he'll find a landing spot at some point. But in this early wave of free agency, it didn't seem to work out for him to find a place where he could have a clear path to starting. Maybe if things fall apart with Aaron Rodgers and Pittsburgh, that becomes a consideration. A reunion in San Francisco. Linebacker Dre Greenlaw got hurt in the Super Bowl a couple years ago, went to Denver, played this past year, got released by the Broncos. He re-signs with the 49ers to help out that defense that was so injury-riddled last year. Niners bringing back an old friend, familiar face that has helped them have success before as they try and get back into things in the NFC Super Bowl contender race. And then Max Crosby back in Las Vegas after the trade to Baltimore. Fell apart after the Ravens backed out over medical concerns. Raiders are hearing from teams about Max Crosby, but as you might expect, teams are trying to take advantage of the situation and not offering what the Raiders want in return. So the plan, as I understand it, is to wait this out. Maybe Max Crosby gets a little bit healthier later in the summer. Maybe they re-engage teams on trade talks at some point later this year. But it's also possible he's on the team in 2026.
Hey, there's another video on Instagram from Crosby. I'm not rolling my eyes. It's been a traumatic week for the guy. But he's back with the Raiders. Says, I'm going to be a Raider. Damian Woody, can he go back to the Raiders? Can we just suit this thing up and pretend like none of this happened?
No, I don't think. No, absolutely not. You know how much your ego is struck down, getting traded away to another team, and then all of a sudden it falls through because of your physical. Like, a team gave you away. They traded you away. They told you, we don't want you anymore. Like, you're not part of our future. And that, to me, is where it all falls. Like, Max Crosby's timeline and the Raiders' timeline, they're totally different. This thing should be all about Fernando Mendoza. How are you going to build around the presumptive number 1 overall pick? And that means taking an asset like Max Crosby and dealing them away, whether it's now, whether it's before the draft, during the summer, but at some point they need to deal him away and focus on their future out there.
But the value, like at 2 first-round picks, yes, but at 60 cents on the dollar?
No, and by the way, the impetus for the trade was Max letting them know that he didn't want to be there anymore after the way last season ended. So if he has changed his mind on that, then I think that's a bigger deal, and it probably helps him fit back into the locker room. And if he's okay with the situation as is, then I think it can work. I think it would help Fernando Mendoza to have a player like Max Crosby on his defense, right? I mean, like if he's healthy and playing at the top level of his game and he wants to be a Raider, then I think, that it's conceivable that you could have him on this team.
This situation is, I would say, unprecedented when you're talking about 2 first-round picks and the long lagway before it got pulled. Mike T, like if you're the Raiders, if you're John Spytek, are you still taking calls and considering about wheeling and dealing, even after the Instagram and the post of I'm here, I'm a Raider for life, blah, blah, blah?
Yeah, absolutely, because by the time Fernando Mendoza is going to be good, Max Crosby may be 2 or 3 years further down the road. So I have an ideal solution for this. Matt, can I have B19, please?
Oh, Cindy, what do we got?
No, it's Matt today. Yeah, B19. So look, a trade is a contract between Team A and Team B. So Bills, Buccaneers, trade him for a second-round pick this year. No physical, by the way. And then next year, you get a second-round pick. But if he plays 70% or more of the snaps this season, that 2 goes to a 1. Who says no to that? If you're Buffalo or Tampa, you may get a great pass rusher for 2 2s. And if you're the Raiders, it's not 2 1s, but it could be a second-round pick and a first-round pick, and you're cutting your losses. And I'll tell you this, guys, just from a team-building standpoint, not knowing if you have $30 million on your books is hugely consequential. That's 10% of your budget. So if I'm John Spytek, if I'm Clint Kubiak, guys, I want to know ASAP, is he in or out? And that's why if you make a trade with these sort of conditions where you're protecting the Raiders' upside if he plays, I think is a fair resolution.
If you find out from him that he still wants out, that's fine, but you got to make sure you keep it quiet, right? Because you got 2 1s for the guy literally a week ago. And now you're talking about 2 2s? I just don't see how, like, if you're the Raiders, isn't the smarter play to wait a little bit, especially if it's not going to be trouble in the meantime?
Yeah, Dan, I totally get that, but I would just tell you from sitting in that seat, if you're sitting there every day running scenarios, which most teams do, 30 million in, 30 million out, I want to have some certainty, and I understand there's going to be a lot of concerns now about the knee, and that's why I'm saying, like, like, for example, when we traded for Brett Favre, there were conditions in that trade depending on how well he played and we played. The pick could go up because we didn't get him until August. So I think it's a good way to sort of put a ribbon on a tough situation.
And D-Wood, can I say, like, you look at you add Max Crosby, Kwity Paye, Nakobe Dean, Quay Walker, like, they got kind of good this week. And when you add Crosby, and maybe they're not the same downtrodden team they were when he was asking for a trade all offseason. What do you think of that?
I still think they're fourth in the division. At the end of the day, even with all the moves, and I like a lot of the moves that the Raiders have made, I still think they're fourth. And that's why I think the timelines of Max Crosby and the Raiders don't match up, and you'll be better off to get the assets to build around the young quarterback.
If we have learned anything this week, stay tuned. We will have the latest. This story is probably not done. Coming up, LeBron's
in Evans, Wisconsin.
Let's go.
Cece,
orange and blue, make it a part of you.
Come on, we are orange and blue cousins here.
There we go.
On Wisconsin.
So, Cece, I think it's only...
On to the offseason.
Nope, we're good.
I think it's only fair that since two of us have a game against one another today at respective schools, that we make a little wager. Don't you think?
I would agree with that. What's the stakes?
Well,
what are we looking at?
Evan's not going to dye his hair for us tips. I just know he's not going to do that.
I'm not going to dye my hair blonde.
No, we're just talking about
Yeah,
frosting.
because I definitely dyed my hair.
Oh, yes. Okay, correct.
I wanted to be clear on
What
that.
about, we've been talking Matilda. You've been very, very against watching Matilda. How about when Illinois beats Wisconsin, your Saturday movie of choice will be Matilda, and you come back with a movie report?
Yeah, no. I can't. Because I screwed something up.
Uh-oh.
Unbeknownst to me, I've seen Matilda. No, not in the movie. My wife texted me. My daughter was in Matilda at the play a couple of years ago, and I went to see it. I had no idea. She was in the play Matilda at school. And I was there. I was in the building.
Okay, but now you have to watch the movie starring Danny DeVito.
No, I'm not doing it. But, that's horrible. I didn't remember the play that my daughter was in.
Well, why don't you, after Illinois beats Wisconsin?
I don't want to do that bet. I'm not watching that movie. I'm not wasting time like that.
But we have to have stakes, though. There has to be a bet. So what's the bet?
I don't know. We got to come up with.
Well, she's giving ideas, and you're shooting it down, so you have to come up with an alternative, sir. The onus is on you.
Time wasting is not my thing. Off the air.
It's not going to be wasting your time. It's a great film. And you could watch it with your children. They'll love it.
Keep marinating.
You know what's funny about him? He wants the end result of the bet to be something comfortable for him. That's not the point of betting. The stakes are supposed to be high. You're supposed to sweat it out.
But here's the thing. I guess it would be the point of betting if he knows he's going to lose.
Correct.
Because guess what? If you think that your team is going to win, if you are supremely confident that y'all are going to get the dub, the stakes don't matter.
Correct.
The stakes do not matter.
We'll come up with something. I don't like that one. Could we just finish off what you just started, though?
Yeah, that was a good point at the end.
Okay.
A good statement, I should say.
So you said the Dallas Cowboys, based on free agency so far in the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys have the highest floor.
I didn't say the highest floor. I said I'm more comfortable with the floor, meaning I feel like I know what I'm going to expect from them. I don't think that they have as much variance as the other teams in the NFC East.
Okay, so Giants and Commanders are easy in terms of variance, right?
Sure.
Giants made a lot of moves. I like a lot of them. They're all the. By the way, one narrative that has to be put to bed is that the players didn't like John Harbaugh.
Yep.
They're all joining him. You can't say the players didn't like him. Half the team.
Doesn't matter if the players didn't like. As long as one player didn't like him, then that's all that matters.
Well, we know who you're talking about, obviously.
Exactly.
But I'm just saying in general. So because the Giants have not been good for a while now, the Giants having the variance of record is understandable, right? Because they haven't been good. The Commanders were a disaster last year, and you and I the other day, CC, both came in, and our biggest question mark was, what are the Commanders doing in terms of the overspending with guys that we just don't know if they're that good, right? So variance is easy there. Where the variance is not easy is walk me through the Eagles variance in terms of you think it's on the table that they could stink this year?
Yeah. Does anybody not think that Nick Sirianni is coaching for his job in 2026?
I don't think he should be.
No. Forget about do you think he should be. Does anybody think that he's not coaching for his job in 2026?
I have to put it on the table because of the history.
Exactly.
Correct.
So that's my point. So I'm looking at what's going